The ongoing but earned defeat of the never-Trump cabal. That's our focus in tonight's preamble. I think it's fair to point out that those of us who support the last successful GOP president have been accused of being the Trump cult. Leftists and their GOP allies say this to marginalize us and make it acceptable to silence, unlawfully prosecute, or harm us. Keep in mind that most of us don't support Donald J. Trump out of some personality contest. That's how Democrats choose their candidates. Our support comes from one criteria and one criteria only: results. In short, the America First agenda and all it entails, an agenda that made our lives markedly better than the dumpster fire we are enduring now. In fact, it is the irrational Trump haters who are the cultists. That brings us to Lion Liz or Zany Cheney. We'll let President Trump choose which one he likes better. Cheney received a massive rebuke for abandoning her voters in Wyoming. She was trounced by a whopping 36 points by Harriet Hageman. Cheney, who wants to spread her surrender to socialist message in a bid for the White House, made this delusional and narcissistic statement about her butt whipping at the polls.
The great and original champion of our party, Abraham Lincoln, was defeated in elections for the Senate and the House before he won the most important election of all. Lincoln ultimately prevailed, he saved our Union, and he defined our obligation as Americans for all of history.
You heard right. Liz Cheney just compared herself to Abraham Lincoln. Now, after I stopped rolling on the floor and picked my jaw off the ground, I thought to myself, if Cheney were indeed like Lincoln, she would be opposing the great harm being done by the Socialist Democrat Party and the abuses of our rights and unequal justice being dispensed by a government that has grown beyond the consent of the governed. If she were worthy of the White House, Cheney would decry the unfair January 6th show trial. She would push back mightily on a DOJ and FBI that shows preferential treatment to leftists and unfairly targets conservatives and Republicans. She would be for equal justice, even for President Trump. But instead of standing with the people of Wyoming against leftists who are perverting our system and harming our people, Lion Liz joined them instead. The only way Liz Cheney would be like Abraham Lincoln is if Lincoln actually colluded with Jefferson Davis to defeat the efforts of Generals Grant and Sherman. Now, I took my time in describing Cheney doing her best Barack Hussein Obama impersonation. You know, remember, nobody loved Obama like Obama loved Obama. But the best biting and succinct response to Zany Cheney's lunacy came from conservative Congresswoman Lauren Boebert. Quote, Liz Cheney compared herself to Abraham Lincoln last night in her concession speech. Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves from the Democrats. He didn't become a slave to the Democrats. Absolutely brilliant. Other headlines from last night's primaries came from Alaska. First, conservative firebrand Sarah Palin advanced to the fall elections. This is how the folks at The Insider covered the win. They seethed. Sarah Palin's former in-laws threw a massive campaign party for her opponent before election night, and now they'll both be on the midterm ballot. Real classy. For those of you wondering how both primary opponents ended up on the fall ballot, well, that's because the head honchos in Alaska changed their entire voting system to a jungle primary to make sure that GOP squishes have a shot at going to Congress and surrendering to socialists. They basically did it to keep Lisa Murkowski, a woman who is famous at backing the Mitch McConnell surrender caucus strategy, viable in elections. Murkowski did advance, barely edging above her conservative challenger, Kelly Tshibaka, who also advanced. Now, as we've outlined in past preambles, the GOP leadership, Mitch McConnell and Kevin McCarthy, are very distressed over the poor performance of the Democrats. Both leaders have pushed the Republicans into silence, making sure they don't speak with a unified opposition to the real, verifiable, and lasting harm being done to the GOP's constituents by Joe Biden's Democrat Party and government. McConnell's effort to save the viability of the Democrat Party has a cost. Marco Rubio, who I like very much, is losing to a left-wing radical, Val Demings. In fact, this is an example of Val Demings' values. It's a video. It's a tracker was attacked by the folks in charge of security for Miss Demings. They sent that person to the hospital. Police are allegedly investigating this incident. Rubio is losing to that culture of Democrat violence. But here's the kicker. In the same poll, conservative thinker and governor Ron DeSantis remains Florida's choice for governor. Now, why would DeSantis fare so well and Rubio fare so poorly? Aren't they both from the same party with the same values? For that answer, we need only contrast two approaches. Governor DeSantis is on the offense. He's constantly coming up with constitutional, lawful, and conservative positions and policies that drive the left-wing socialists crazy. Governor DeSantis defends his people from the harm of collectivism. Sadly for Rubio, he's following the Mitch model, an approach that doesn't defend his constituents, but rather abandons his constituents to the ravages and inhumanity of left-wing Democrat collectivism. In short, Rubio isn't fighting for Florida. Val Demings is fighting for socialist oppression, and her voters love her for that. If I were advising Rubio, again, who I like very much, I'd say emulate DeSantis, not Mitch McConnell. President Trump and Governor DeSantis are not supported and beloved because of a cult. They're beloved because they defend us from the communist cultists that dominate the press and the Democrat Party. As you all know, I reached out to Senator McConnell and Kevin McCarthy's office months ago. I invited them onto this program to discuss ways we could unite the conservative constitutional movement with the Republicans. I know why I didn't get the courtesy of a no thank you. Unity was the last thing Mitch McConnell and Kevin McCarthy wanted. Isn't it strange how the Democrats, even when the GOP is in the majority, the Democrats get big policy wins? In my view, what prevents the GOP from achieving that same level of success is their leadership, or lack thereof. If the red wave doesn't wipe out the Democrats as a national party the way it should, you'll all know who's to blame. The lackluster GOP leadership who prizes their relationships with Democrats over protecting their own voters from the ravages of those Democrats. Now, who do you want? Leaders like Trump and DeSantis who defend your family from socialism, or proven failures like McConnell and McCarthy who have sat by and allowed this calamity to befall our blessed country? In short, as Florida shows us, voters want a GOP leadership that is as determined to save America and our Constitution as the Democrats are committed to destroying America and our Constitution.